All right, man. We're here for the final verdict of the J. Cole KOD album. Just came out 420 on the drugs day. We have a rapper who's very conscious come out with an album called Kids on Drugs, King Overdosed, or Kill Your Demons, or Kill Our Demons. It's been a couple days since the album came out, and after spending some time with it, I can say my opinion on a couple of the songs have changed a bit. But my overall score of the album will be remaining the same, and like they usually do, but I'll be telling you why and explaining pretty much why the album, after even more listens, kind of underwhelmed me a little bit more in its concept. Now, a lot of people also have asked me the question, how do you say this is J. Cole's best project and you rated it as a 7? And I don't think that's a very difficult concept. I really don't need to explain it because I know a lot of you already get it, but basically it just means this is J. Cole's best project. It doesn't mean it's an amazing project. You know, it's just J. Cole's best, in my opinion. Just because this is best, that doesn't make it a 10 out of 10 or a masterpiece or a classic record. It just means that this is J. Cole's best to me. And I can pretty much back up why I think it's his best. I think it's his most lyrically dense. It's his most lyrically impactful. It's his most confident album, I would say. I mean, this is the one where he seems completely sure of himself in a not so satirical, not so comedic way as sometimes, because we had a lot of projects like 2014 Forest Hills Drive where J. Cole at the end pretty much has this whole long-winded little skit thing that he had a whole lie about meeting Jonah Hill in the elevator, and then he says at the end it never happened. I know it's for comedic effect, but on this one, I feel like he took the concept so seriously that there were really no room for jokes. So when you hop into this album, you hear the intro track kind of explaining the birth of a child, what ends up going into the use of a drug, and you should choose wisely what you decide to aid yourself in when you're dealing with pain, because drugs can have the worst effect. In the beginning, I believe there's a line made from the female voice that says, I think love is the strongest drug. Now, hear me right. This is why I have the issue I have with Kill Edward being on the album, is because Kill Edward not only is just a lower pitched J. Cole that's a little bit chopped, I guess you could say. J. Cole literally does nothing with Kill Edward's character. He does nothing with Kill Edward, and I'm assuming the reason the voice is pitched lower is because Kill Edward is supposed to be the demon. But the fact that one of the names of this album is Kill Our Demon, and then you have a demon on the record that has literally no presence on the record, it's like, why? Why do you have him here? It makes me think he added him because he fit with one of the names of the album, but Kill Edward doesn't really have a big presence on this album. It almost seems as if since J. Cole didn't want to have any other features, Kill Edward was just another way to put a different vocal tone on the track for J. Cole to oppose on the same track. And I'm talking musically here. Like, Kill Edward is not an enjoyable feature. The content that we get from Kill Edward isn't that much different from what we get from J. Cole. And like I said, at no point in this album do we have a track or a concept or a theme where these two go head to head or go up against each other, because why have that? That would make too much sense. He no longer explores the female voice in the beginning that's explaining why you should choose wisely. He has her in the intro, and that to me would have been a better person to represent his demon. Kill Edward to me just extends some of these tracks. He adds a different feeling to them, but I don't think the tracks become better. I don't think the tracks become more introspective. I don't think the tracks become deeper. I don't think it makes more layers for the tracks. It's literally just J. Cole in lower pitched form. Now, there are tracks on here that I've come to like more, like ATM. Some people speculate that meaning Addicted to Money. I said that it meant At the Moment because I read it as ATM, so I thought At the Moment. But I think a lot of people, like I said, could infer that at the moment, that's when you have this money. You have all this money at the moment. You're rich at the moment, but it could all, wither away in seconds. So I think just as this album has double meanings and triple meanings, so could the track titles. I think At the Moment could be a thing. I think Automatic Transfer Machine could also obviously be one of the meanings. And I also think Addicted to Money could be one of the meanings. But J. Cole's flow on this track is so great. His hook on this track is so great, and a lot of people complain about it being so repetitive, but there is a reason behind why it's said so much in this song, because it means so much to him and this persona he has as a rapper. This to me would have been the perfect track to say that J. Cole was Kill Edward, because this isn't who J. Cole really is, or at least not who he presents himself to be in his music. And then that's where I lose some of the interest for the album conceptually, because I look at a track like this and I know J. Cole is rapping from another perspective, and that to me makes the character Kill Edward even less interesting. If I look at J. Cole and I see that he can rap from other people's perspective, why am I sitting here sitting through a Kill Edward feature in a lower pitched J. Cole voice? I get the track would not have been nearly as enjoyable if it was Kill Edward in the lower pitched voice on ATM. I get that there wouldn't have been half as much enjoyment in it if that were the case. But again, as I said, if J. Cole is going to talk about on Kevin's Heart, you know, cheating and, you know, having these temptations, and on ATM talk about all the money that he's basically addicted to, why wouldn't these tracks be Kill Edward features too? I don't understand. Brackets is still one of my favorite tracks, if not my favorite track on this album. But the one main complaint about it is just how long it takes for the song to really get started. I mean, it takes about 2.5 minutes almost before we actually get a good J. Cole verse. And of course, he's extremely dense and layered and introspective in describing how the tax money we pay actually ended up funding the killing of a 12-year-old child. But at the same time, for it to take so long to get to that point, when the rest of the track was literally him talking to Uncle Sam about how much he has to pay in taxes, the track before that talking about him having to pay taxes and implying it. Don't get me wrong either, this song is great, and I like the whoa, 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 adding this somber feeling to the track, and you know, the woe is me feeling, like we're paying and we don't know what actually is going on right now. It's a sad situation we're in, so I get the feeling of the track, but it takes so long for me to really get invested and for me to call this track great. You have to sit through a Richard Pryor skit in the beginning, then a lackluster Cole verse, then a hook, then a bridge, then this whole vocal pattern that he does, a change up where he talks to Uncle Sam, then we finally get his verse. I still think Once an Addict is a great track, explaining how in the black community, pretty much for the most part, we don't really address the things that really affect us, and I mentioned this in my, you know, reaction review video, the initial review video for it, that, you know, if you take a community full of people that don't have that much money, they obviously probably don't have health insurance, they're not likely to go seek that mental, you know, that mental help or medical professionals to help them out with stress, anxiety, or depression. So they just either pretend it doesn't exist, or if they feel like it does, they can't really address it at the moment because they have other priorities. And I love the way J. Cole pretty much implements depression into the story, saying that his mother had it, inadvertently passed it down to him as he's talking further in the track, saying that he thought he could escape the problem. Then he mentions in the very first breath that, hey, she called me and she ruined my high. And then you think about it, why is J. Cole high? It's because he's got depression too. He just hasn't addressed it, so he's medicating himself with marijuana or whatever substance he's using to get himself to that higher point. Friends is another standout track where J. Cole lyrically is really relating to the core of his audience and telling them it's okay to live in your own skin, it's okay to be afraid, it's okay to have issues and troubles. Just sit back and think about it before you make any decision to medicate yourself. And a lot of people, you know, had an issue with me saying that meditation wouldn't help everyone, but you can't force one solution on every person. A lot of people in the comment section of that video seem to think that J. Cole had the answer. Yeah, that's the way. That's how you do it. For a lot of people, it does not work. You can't apply one method to hundreds of billions of people. You cannot. Everyone has different triggers, everyone has different stresses, everyone has different methods. And I get that this isn't J. Cole's end all be all, this isn't his grand solution, but it's one of his recommendations. And for us to go this whole body of work that is pretty much suggestionless, this is one of the first ones you have, is to take a good long hard look at yourself and be introspective. And I don't think a lot of people realize that this is something that people who go through drug abuse do on a regular basis. All they do is think about themselves. Again, I appreciate J. Cole mentioning it because he's one of the few artists that's going to talk about it. And in my opinion, a not so cringy way. It's not like a Logic, in my opinion, where he was just telling people to love themselves. You know, I've done meditation, I've practiced meditation. It's helped me in certain instances, but I know other people that have done it and they say it doesn't help them. Different strokes for different folks. I like window pane as well. I like that J. Cole is accepting the fact that there's only so much that he can do, all the advice and the change that he's trying to present, but people are only going to do what they're willing to do. They're not going to do anything that you can't force someone to do something. And I think that's what J. Cole's realization was at the end of the album, is just, I'm trying my hardest to get people to see, but I think it's going through one ear and out the other like a bullet shot by point blank range. I love that line. So he's just pretty much coming to grips with the fact and accepting that, you know, he has window pane because he's looking at and internalizing all the pain from everyone else that he's looking at. And then we get to the final track where J. Cole pretty much does the big bro thing to everybody else in the rap game as far as the Lils are concerned. Something that apparently Lil Pump couldn't handle is getting a talking to. He didn't even diss Lil Pump really, he just gave him a talking to. J. Cole essentially was just trying to tell Lil Pump how to stay on, you know, how to stay relevant, how to consider his artistry, because at some point Lil Pump is not going to be relevant. He's not. So to be 100% honest with you, from track 8 to 12, I thoroughly enjoy the point of all those tracks. I enjoy the lyrics that J. Cole is presenting. Nothing's cringy, nothing's corny. I'm liking what I'm getting. However, the only thing that makes these tracks a drag to get through is the fact that they all are tackled and handled in such similar ways. There's no complexity, there's no artistic acrobatics happening here. It's not J. Cole coming out of his comfort zone. It's pretty much J. Cole doing what he's been doing for the past 5-6 years. I like that he's more lyrically layered and more lyrically dense than he was before on this album, but as a listener of the music, I can't say that I'm 10 times more intrigued hearing this, because it's something J. Cole is already familiar with. And that to me isn't that great, because he's not challenging himself. He's not attacking himself as an artist and saying, this is what I could do to come out of myself. It's like J. Cole didn't take off his training wheels. Instead, he just got a bigger bike. KOD is a great kind of trap inspired beat. And I hate how people think that J. Cole is doing a parody of all the mumble rap and the little rappers and the Atlanta style trap beat production. Like, I hate how people think that these artists can't just like the same production. Kendrick Lamar just had an entire album filled with trap beats. There's nothing wrong with trap beats. Stop making the production seem like it's the problem when it's the rappers, not the production. It's just you're so used to hearing it from these types of rappers that when someone else uses it that's conscious, you think they're doing a parody of it, when I think you're just not acknowledging that the sound is okay. They just don't have the lyrics to back them up. Conceptually, I say this album falls short for me because it's just another J. Cole discussion. The demon Kill Edward being so weak on this project, we never get any closure to that character. We never get J. Cole actually addressing or fully ending his relationship with his demons. I like how in this album J. Cole does limit the drug use being from pain, but I think he could have gone even deeper than that. I mean, he could have actually made it a physical thing, like people take pharmaceuticals and people are prescribed certain medicines because they're dealing with physical pain. He could have made a whole track about that. You get in a car accident, they give you morphine. You have pain in your side or in your back, they could give you a steroid. There's so much more to this album that he could have presented. It's just conceptually, so many people are giving this album credit for accomplishing what it wasn't even trying to accomplish. And I think J. Cole, being the person that he is very intelligent. I think he took this into account before he even made it, knowing that people would take more from his lyrics than he probably intended for them to. Like, some of the interpretations people have for this album are ridiculous. They are wacky. And it has me thinking, why J. Cole fans think J. Cole is the first rapper to ever talk about depression and drugs in the same album. J. Cole just said we should meditate and not medicate. Oh my God, so profound. And it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just not that deep. I definitely think him coming through with a more interesting concept made me feel like this entire album wasn't just about J. Cole or wasn't just about one of his friends. So that, to me, I instantly got more enjoyability out of the track. J. Cole, in my opinion, just isn't an interesting enough character for me to want to hear him ramble on about how he, you know, wanted to be with certain women at a certain age and all he's got to pick from is reality hoes. I don't really care about that. And after more listens to these other tracks on here like Photograph and Kevin's Heart, where people were telling me, oh man, these are also addiction tracks because people are addicted to social media, people are addicted to women. I also mentioned that in my initial review for this thing. I just think these tracks are handled in a much weaker way than the rest of the tracks are. Even though there's a track on here where J. Cole addresses social media, it is very surface level and a very vague description. And I could give Cole credit for describing it in that way, because the woman he's describing on this screen that he's looking at, he has a vague understanding of her at the same time. I get it. But as a song, it's just boring. Kevin's Heart is a song that's better written in my opinion, but it's based off of an actual cheating scandal. I don't really feel like J. Cole needed to reference Kevin Hart to get the, I guess, feeling that Kevin Hart had while he was cheating. I don't really see how he needed that, how it makes the album better conceptually, or maybe just saying that even the best of us have our demons too. All in all, lyrically and spitting wise, I just think J. Cole is at the top of his game. He's in his prime, I guess I could say, even though I don't think it's the craziest thing that he's ever done. I could say that he's in a moment where I can respect him fully as a rapper. However, as a musician, as an artist, I don't feel like he's evolving. I just feel like he's staying in his comfort zone. Even the final track on here, it's boom bap type of beat. It's a boom bap kind of vibe for J. Cole to spit the same way he had been spitting for the past 5 tracks. Those few highlights on this album where he really gets into his bag, like on KOD where he's switching up his flow and his delivery is so effortless. Just like the same thing on ATM. It just feels like it's flowing out of J. Cole at that moment. But the rest of this album, even though it is lyrically dense and there is some layers to it, I just don't think he's challenging himself to become a more interesting artist. Not MC, because he's improving as an MC, but as an artist, musically this thing doesn't really go outside of J. Cole's normal, comfortable range. And for God's sakes, man, next time you make an album, get some features on it. Because I just, like, there are literally a couple tracks on here where I'm like, oh, I can repeat this hook in my head, like KOD and ATM. Everything else on this album, I can't even, where's the hooks? Where are the hooks at, man? Where are the hooks? The hooks! Not only is J. Cole just barely a good enough MC to handle all of this album by himself, he is nowhere near a good enough singer, nowhere near a good enough harmonizer to tie these tracks together with just him alone. He is not. The singing on this album is average at best. As a concept, of course, to J. Cole fans, he's doing something revolutionary. I just don't get anything out of this album beyond what I already knew. I feel like the reason so many people are in love with this album is because J. Cole is pretty much reaffirming beliefs that you already had in the first place. So you feel like he's that much more introspective because he's confirming your own belief system. I don't need my belief system confirmed. I just want an opinion that I really hadn't thought of before. And J. Cole is good at giving me something that I thought of already. So, I mean, I get how people could like it. I like it. There's a lot to love about this project, but personally, I just don't think it's as deep conceptually as so many people are giving it credit for. But as an album with a very loose concept, in my opinion, I like it. I like it. This is J. Cole's best. So that's really all I got to say on it. A couple days after, still feeling the J. Cole project, still feeling that 7 out of 10. And you guys let me know if your opinion on anything has changed. Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next one. It's been Shawn C, and I'm out. Peace.